Jayne-Anne. Welcome to Spark TV.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It's really cool to be here.
I'm so excited to share your story. Let's dive straight in and tell everyone who you are and what you do.
My name's Jayne-Anne Power. I am the owner and founder of a men's shoe brand called Kennedy Parker. I started out online. I've now just opened a bricks and mortar store about a year ago. And that's what I'm doing at the moment.
So let me ask you this,
Yep.
why men's shoes?
I know it is. People are always interested in that. It does seem like an unusual thing to get into. It started out because I was in marketing. I got a marketing role at a men's boot brand here in Adelaide.
Ah,
And
cool.
worked for them for a number of years. And as part of the work there, my manager sort of said to me, I think that instead of just focusing on the marketing, I think that you might be a merchant. I think you might be someone that understands what customers want. I had a background in fashion retailing and design, etc. So it was kind of just something I enjoyed and was like, I know, why don't we try this kind of design, or that leather's beautiful. Maybe we could bind it with that design. And, so he just saw something in me and said, I think you're a merchant. I think you're someone that understands the commercial side of design and product. Put me in charge of design and design and product development. And what that did was led me on a journey of learning all about how shoes are made. Because not only was I working in a factory every single day with shoemakers, but I was also traveling to factories and tanneries around the world and learning all about, the craft and how things are done. And sort of, I needed to understand when I was designing something, or if I had an idea for something that I wanted a factory to create, how are they made? What are the components? What are the effects on the wearer of any of the design ideas that I might have? So during my period of time that I was working at the boot brand, I noticed at one of the factories they were making these really, really beautiful, high quality, what we call Goodyear welted shoes, which is just basically fully stitched, primo, num leather shoes. Really amazing, beautiful men's shoes. And I kept thinking, gee, I just love those. I'm sure I could do something with it, but it just wasn't right for the people I was working for at the time. Eventually, the years went on and the family sold the business, and there wasn't a role for me in the new business. And I thought to myself, I now have this unique knowledge base. It's very unusual to get a knowledge base like that in Australia. Normally, you'd need to be sort of in Italy or Spain or China or Portugal or something. But here in Adelaide, to get that kind of experience is so unusual. And I just decided not to waste it and started my own shoe brand.
That is incredible. I absolutely love it. And it's really interesting. I think sometimes we romanticize the idea of having our own businesses and figuring it out along the way. But I actually love learning on somebody else's money.
Oh, honestly, I never thought I would have my own business. I never did. But I've always been a voracious learner on the job. I have always worked for other people as though it was my business. I've always applied myself and gone, that's interesting. I reckon no one's solving that problem. It's not in my job description, but I'd love to have a go. Can I fix that? Oh, this has just got to be done. I'm just going to do it. I've just always been like that. And in the end, what it did was, with all the various roles that I've had, I'm a real professional mongrel. I've done so many things. And in the end, just applying yourself to everything with that attitude, you end up with a really decent skill set. And it got to the point where I thought, there's nothing in this business I haven't done for someone else except accounting, and you can get an accountant for that. So
there's a person for that job. Yes.
That's right. Yeah. So that's how it started.
Wow, that is awesome. And yeah, and as I said, I do love that because I think, yeah, sometimes we think we've got to just start it all and learn it all for ourselves. But, leveraging other people and other opportunities is so good. Even, as you are deciding to start a new business, I love it when people stay in their full-time jobs,
Yeah.
and keep learning and keep developing and kind of bringing it up on the side. So I always love when people have a great story around leveraging their day job for learning, because it is such an amazing path, I think. So
I
I'm
do too. And I also think that people underestimate how much that's a gift to you.
mm,
You really apply yourself in the work that you're doing for other people. I know nobody, I don't believe in exploitation or what have you, but the sort of the trend of the quiet quitting kind of idea that came
mm,
out of COVID, I have
makes
no
me so
interest in
mad.
any of that, because I think,
No.
don't shortchange yourself, live
Mm.
your life. And sometimes a working life can be really enjoyable and really interesting, and it develops you. You're the one that grows if you allow yourself to grow and if you keep aligning yourself with the right kind of roles. So I don't know, I just really believe in that.
I love that so much. I could not agree with you more. I love that you just said don't shortchange yourself. That's, to be honest, that really sums up how I feel about it, because that's been the biggest thing for me. As I look back on my corporate career and I think all of those skills I have transferred into my own business. And did I like my job every day? No, I did not.
Yeah.
But I got the most out of it. I did every
Yeah.
training. I, worked my way up. I figured things out, and then I could bring that all into my businesses.
Mm.
But yeah, and so it just really worries me when people talk about quiet quitting and people want to jump on this trend, because I think of exactly that. Well, I'm like, well, there will be people who don't mind going a little above and beyond, and they will get the benefit of
Mm.
those opportunities. And if those opportunities are things that are free because your employer is paying for them, your employer is paying to help you grow, like,
Totally.
that is
I
priceless.
think it is too. I think the other mistake some people can make is kind of going off track here, I suppose, but I feel quite strongly about this for people who are, you know, really wanting to develop. I've always been a career person. I've always
Mm,
wanted to work. I love professional development. It just is my jam. It always has floated my boat. When I was quite young, I worked out that it's not a good idea to work and when you're working, expect your boss's approval,
mm,
to work for them and think they should thank you or what have you. A lot of times I've been in roles where I've been underappreciated and undervalued, and
mm.
I still walked away with an incredible skill set and an amazing experience,
Yeah.
because I chose the work I was doing and I chose to apply
Mm,
myself in that work, and I chose to get something for myself out of it, and I worked to my standard.
yes.
I knew when I was doing good work and when I wasn't, and I
Mm,
didn't allow the games or like the opinions of others or what have you to push me around. It really was about, what do I want out of this? Is this place right for me? Is it not right for me?
mm.
And if it is right for me, this is how I work. I work as though this is my business.
And I
Because
love that
it's
because you're in charge of the story, right? Like, you think about, I know we are getting off topic here, but I love this topic. Um, but I was just thinking about, I like reflecting on my own career, like looking at other people's careers, even me as a boss now, having to hire people and thinking about the way people pitch themselves and their stories. You can rock up to the next job. So you can have your career path that you're interested in following, and you can rock up to the next place and you can tell a story about your last job. You may have hated your boss. They may have not appreciated you. You may have been paid shit wages, but
that's on your CV. Your
yeah,
skills are on your
exactly.
CV. Your
Yeah.
experience on your CV. It's yours.
Exactly. Exactly. You
Everyone
can
knows that.
spin that story in any way. Like, you could have been the rock star in that organization and have learned every skill that is now taking you to this next step up that you want. Like, I think, and that I think is just transferable in life, isn't it? We are all in charge of our own stories, and we can choose to get anything we want out of a particular situation. It's sometimes it just comes down to giving ourselves a little bit of a pep talk and, okay, I've got to, have a bit more of an objective view here and
Mm,
separate the things that aren't serving me and just double down on the things that I can get out of this experience.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
I
Mm.
love it. So tell me then, how did you go from employee to business owner? What was that process like for you?
Like I said, I never thought I'd have a business. I mean, I did in the sense that I started a side hustle and I was like, yeah, I'm going to sell like millions of shoes. And like, you know, I guess what I'm
Love
trying to
that.
say is I did not see it as I will start my own business and I'm going to, I just went, I can't waste these skills. I love
Mm,
this product. I enjoy this customer. I
mm,
want to create something of my own and I don't want to waste this opportunity. So I, I put the range together, put a business online. Did all the Shopify stuff. Made my own website and did my own photography. And it's seriously it's a very I don't want to say homegrown project because it's not like I don't have the professional skills to make it a good standard, but
mm.
it's
You
bootstrapped.
hustled, you bootstrapped,
I
yeah.
hustled
Which
for
you have,
sure.
I think you have to do that, right?
Gotta
Like,
do it. Yeah,
if
you gotta
you
do it.
really do, and I think there's a lot of value in it as well. I mean, we do again romanticize going out and raising millions of dollars of capital and getting all of the fancy things, but sometimes you waste a lot of money doing that because you don't actually know what's involved. And
Agree.
someone will say it will cost $10,000, $100,000 for a web platform to do XYZ. And then when you do it for yourself, you realize you can do it in a day on Squarespace or Shopify for $30, and yes, it probably won't be as fancy schmancy, but it will be shipped and you will be out in market connecting with your customer.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So that's pretty much how I got started. I then ended up it was sort of like, bouncing out of COVID and everybody coming back to work. I went into, I had it as basically as a side hustle. I
Yeah.
went into women's fashion. I went in and managed a couple of brands. So I was the general manager of a women's, label. I
Hmm.
then went in and became a GM in in a bigger organization with multiple brands and had that as a side hustle on the side
Yeah.
and completely neglected it.
Oh,
I completely neglected it.
yeah.
Loved it.
Mm.
I knew I had potential, but I don't think I'm very good at splitting my attention. If
Yeah.
it was a
It's hard.
part-time job with a part-time website, maybe, but a full-time gig with an outside hustle, I can't be that. I'm all in when I'm in.
Yeah.
So I tell you what happened. It was a very interesting and a sort of traumatic time. I got made redundant from my job,
Mm.
and it was actually it was not nice circumstances.
Mm.
At the same time, I turned 50,
Yep.
and at the same time, I realized that the kind of roles I was interested in apparel and the business side of apparel, oh, there's hardly any of them in Adelaide. And I had known for a while that I'd had this wonderful opportunity to sort of express myself in businesses like that and learn the skills and, kind of stretch out in apparel businesses for like 12 years or something. And I
Mm.
just knew that I'd reached this level of seniority where there was really no more jobs unless I wanted to move somewhere else. And even then, they're not guaranteed. In Adelaide, people who had the skill set that I had, well, they've got their own businesses and they don't need someone like me.
Yep.
So I kind of had this whole thing happen where I thought to myself, you're either going to have to change careers and change focus, or maybe you could keep developing this career in apparel by doing it yourself and being a
Mm.
CEO and starting your own company. And I sort of got to the point where I thought, how old do you think you need to be? How grown up do you think you need to be before you can do your own thing?
Yeah.
Just the window was there, the timing was right. The feeling that I had
Mm.
walking away from that last job was I just knew in my heart that it was going to be really impossible for me to sit down in front of another employer and say,
Mm.
I would love to be part of what you're doing. Here's what I can bring to the table. I
Mm,
just knew it, I didn't have it in me. Just wanted to, I wanted to be in charge of my own life and build something for myself and use my skills and my passion and my creativity and my abilities to serve me. That's what I wanted. Thought I don't want to give that to somebody else anymore. I want to see what I can do
mm.
by myself.
My God, I'm so impressed. I just love it because, it's really, that takes a lot of guts. I know, well, I just talk to a lot of women in business who've taken that leap, but I just know how tough it can be to actually back yourself,
Mm.
and I love that you did come to that realization where you went, you know what, pretty awesome. Why not grow something for myself?
Look,
I
that's the kind of self-talk that I'm trying to develop. I can't say that kind of self-talk
I'll
was
do
always
it then. I'll
there,
just pep you up.
but I certainly did know that the last,
Mm,
I knew that I was ready to really test myself and say to myself, this is your moment to show yourself you can actually do the things that you want to do.
mm,
It was also, the other thing that was a real driver was my throughout my career, I have been in various workplaces where the culture just wasn't kind.
mm,
And over time, I had come to learn about myself that I had um, views about the importance of building people up in business,
mm,
the importance of valuing the people around you, and not just the human importance and like the soul importance, but you know the business importance. Everything in
absolutely.
business sense. And I'd worked with a lot of people for a long time that had not worked with that ethos.
Mm,
And, I kind of got to the point where I thought, look, I've been around that stuff and I've tried it out for a while. And I don't think you guys are doing it any better than I would do it if I was just nice to people. So
yeah.
I decided that another part of what I was doing, creating my own business, was creating my own culture, the
Mm,
culture that I could turn up to work every day. At the moment, that culture is just me, but it doesn't matter because I am
no,
creating.
it starts with you.
Well, that's right. And I'm creating connections and partnerships with others. And, I
Mm,
have landlords and a community of shops around me. And I have, people, agencies that I work with.
manufacturers
And
and
that's exactly right. Partners of
mm,
all kinds. And the
mm,
kind of business that I run it's a kind business, and it's a business that's all about genuine connection, whether that's with my customers or with my partners or, I've had a couple of interns, etc. I just realized that I just wanted those beliefs to take the forefront in my life and in my work. And that's another really big reason why I decided to start my own business.
and it is such a great reason. It is difficult to, as employees, no matter how senior we are, it is difficult to impact the culture as
Absolutely.
a single person. Especially if you're coming into a workplace that already has a bit of a toxic culture going on, or a culture of that's kind of set in their ways, it is really hard to spark change. But yeah, it's, I love that because you get so much more done when you're nice to people.
Couldn't agree more. What a waste
Well,
of time. What a waste of energy it is for people to sit there stewing on the crappy thing that just got said to them. Or I mean, jeepers. I just do not understand how people think that leads to productivity.
it does.
Cooperation, appreciation, building people up, being genuine, giving them genuine feedback, even if that feedback is feedback that lifts them up into improvement. I
Yep.
mean, come on, as if that's not better.
Mm. No, I completely agree with you. And I love that it is one of the genuinely amazing things about starting your own business is that you get to design it, right? You get a say in every piece of that puzzle, which
Yeah.
is so, I don't know, it's inspiring. I love that part. I remember I always tell this story, but like a few years ago, I was so over the business that I had created. I was so miserable. And I was like, well, that's pretty stupid because you're the boss. Like, you're the one that gets to change all of this stuff. So,
So,
yeah,
so you had to be your own HR department in this
I
moment.
did. I did. I did. I had to go, well, okay, well, you're the boss. So how about you start implementing change? It's like, stop whining about it. You're the one in control here. So I do love that. I do love that we actually get to design the business we want, design the life that we want. I think it's so exciting. And tell me about a product business. So we have on here, more of a skew towards service-based businesses, less products. So I always love asking this question. If I, wanted to become the next fashion design extraordinaire and I wanted to create a physical product, what is that process like if you're just starting out with an idea? It strikes me that it's really difficult
It
to
is
bring a
really,
physical product to life.
I, uh, all I can tell you is what I know from, I've worked in shoes and leather goods and clothing.
Mm.
Uh, those are the two areas I've worked in. I have to tell you that all of these young guns on TikTok that are selling freaking like water bottles and stuff like that, I don't
Oh.
know how they're doing that shit. I have no idea. But what I do know about garment manufacturing and footwear manufacturing is that you've got to go out there and find good quality manufacturers.
Mm.
There are ways to do that. There are, like trade fairs and things like that where you can
Mhm.
see, the factories turn up to those trade fairs and show you what they make, and you can, go to them. There's the trade fairs all around the world. There's a couple in Australia actually for footwear. Excuse me. So yeah, it's the critical thing is getting the right manufacturing partner.
Yep.
And that's about, quality. It's about relationship. It's about pricing, consistency, reliability, all of that sort of stuff. It's absolutely critical to have manufacturing partner or partners
Mm.
you can really work with, you can trust. I mean, when you're buying a container of shoes, it's a very expensive thing to do.
Oh, I can
um,
imagine.
you don't want them rocking up, on the boat here in Adelaide and they're all rubbish. You've
Mm.
got to know that you trust your factory. You've got to know you've got that relationship with them and that the quality of what they do is there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but that would be my recommendation is look at trade fairs.
I
And
love that. I love that because it strikes me that there's nothing like experience and actually going in and just figuring it out. I studied fashion design
Mhm.
at uni when I was a whippersnapper. And I can tell you that after a 3-year degree in fashion design, I would have no idea where to start for actually bringing a label to life, which always struck me as very odd that there was so much theory and
Mm,
design and all important stuff, but like the actual business side and actually bringing something to life always struck me as odd that I really came out none the wiser. So I
mm.
always like to ask people where they would start because that's such practical advice,
Yeah,
trade
yeah,
fair, manufacturer, getting the right partners on board.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
A
yeah,
lot
and
of
I
people
think
use like Alibaba and websites like
mm,
that. I've had mixed experience with that. I've had, you know, I've had a couple of, good experiences on Alibaba, and I've had some absolutely rubbish experiences on Alibaba, and you can't do anything about it.
yeah.
The stuff turns up, it's garbage, you can't do anything about it. And that's,
Mm,
that's that. You spent your money and it
yeah.
turned up and, you didn't have any way to sort of like eyeball anyone, have a conversation.
Yes.
So I think that one of the reasons that I felt confident to
Mm,
start my business was what you said before. On someone else's dime, I
mm,
made all those connections.
yeah.
I chose this factory. I could have chosen out of, there's another 5 that I know of, or, different people who make components and soles and, you know,
Mm,
in manufacturers in different countries. I have contacts and I know who they are and I know how to tell if they're quality or not. So I went into it with the confidence, which is
mm,
very helpful to a newcomer. But I guess, how did I get that? My company sent me to trade fairs, and I visited factories and actually spoke to the people, and
Yes.
that's, you just cannot beat that, actually meeting them face to face.
Yeah, and I love that. It is boots on the ground, getting your hands dirty, actual experience, like get out there and just start exploring and learning. I love that so much.
Yeah, yeah.
So I always love to leave our amazing Spark community with one last piece of advice. So just reflecting on your time in business, what would be a piece of advice that you would give another woman in business as she was going through her journey with all of the ups and downs and challenges that it presents?
I think when I look back over my incredibly varied career, we've just talked about my shoe stuff, but I worked in retail on the shop floor for a long time. I've been a musician for a long time. I've done all sorts of different jobs and marketing, PR, whatever. And it's sort of, when I look back and reflect on how I got here,
Mm,
I just followed something in here that kept saying, "This is interesting. Can I?
mm.
I could do that. I'm sure I could do that." Um, and I feel like what it's done is just pulled me like this. And so,
I love
and
this.
then I've sort of turned up in this spot and gone, "Oh my God, look at all the skills I have. Look at all the knowledge I
Mm,
have." The confidence that I have to start my business didn't come because I went, "Yeah, girl, you can do it," though there was a lot of that, and also advice from other people or whatever. A lot of it came because I knew what I knew, because I'd done it
mm.
for other people, and I knew I had the contacts and I had the understanding and the business training and all that sort of stuff. But I only had that because I just kept saying yes to myself all the time. I was clear in myself what I was in my jobs for, what I was interested in my jobs. And I just let the feeling pull me, and I just let the interest pull me. Now, that doesn't mean I was always like riveted in my job. It doesn't mean I was always happy. I got pushed around by some people from time to time. That stuff happens. But at the end of the day, if you're clear on what your interests are, oh, this is making me feel good. I like this. I'm going to do a bit more of it. I'm going to study some of that. I reckon that job would be, I reckon I could do more of this if I did that job over there. Just let it pull you and be in charge of it. Don't get, in the end, it'll feel like you'll have some bumps and bruises and some scratches from time to time. But if you've been true to yourself and always said yes to that feeling of like, I like this, I like how I'm developing, I like how I'm growing, I like how knowing how to do this makes me feel. If you keep following that, you cannot go wrong.
Jayne-Anne, you are bloody incredible. I am so grateful that you've come on to the Spark TV show to share your insights and your business. I'm just, yeah, I love it. You are incredible. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so lovely to talk to you.